Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to episode number 5 of the Solo Heroic Challenger Progression series, and we have a ton of stuff jam-packed into this episode. A bunch of it is stuff that I've never seen, done, or interacted with before, so that's super exciting and also potentially super frustrating. But anyways, I had a ton of fun making this episode. We got all kinds of stuff, including, as you can see here, me unlocking 6th job doing all those stones. It's nice to see that apparently they did reduce the XP required for these stones by like 10 times or something once upon a time. I'm glad I didn't get too experienced previously, because this did take a little bit. If it was 10 times longer, then that would have been not the most fun, so I am glad they changed it. I was able to get through them pretty easy with some XP boosters, VIP boosters, and all of that, so honestly it wasn't too bad, and we unlock our 6th job. A bunch of other stuff, including slime, and we even made some progress on Sia. I also threw in a little bit of a random aside, is that I just took a few hours to boost up a Thunderbreaker, just to help me get a few extra daily bosses in. And then towards the end you'll see me challenge a few new bosses that I've never seen and really frustrated me. So you have all of that to look forward to. So hopefully you all enjoy it, and without further ado, let's hop into the video. Alright, cool. So we just unlocked 6th job. That actually was really easy. I'm really glad that I saved some VIP boosters, and I actually think I still have some from the event. If you don't have any VIP boosters, or you kind of forgot, just watch the Sia Estelle stuff and you get 5 extra. I only ended up using, I think, 3 or 4. I think 3, and I was able to do all of the stones at once. That's kind of crazy. I actually don't know what to do for 6th. I got my origin, of course, and I think this just does a ton of lines. And man, I actually just realized I don't know too much about this character's 6th job or which ones I need to level up. So I'm gonna go check on the Discord, and that's kind of what I would recommend for anyone else, is if you don't know, probably check the Discord. Chances are a lot of other people know, and they're actually usually really helpful if you have any questions too. Just try to do your own research a little bit. I see so many people going and pretty much just asking the most basic question that they possibly can, and a lot of people don't like that, or a lot of people ask the same old question of, is this character good for hyper burning? Which is kind of funny because you're in the Discord of that class, so yeah, usually I think they will say that it's worth it. So I always find that kind of funny. Make sure to try, and if you have questions, then ask. So as far as other stuff goes, I went and used all of the selector coupons and I actually just got all fragments. Looking back on this, I think if I wanted to be super efficient, this is technically probably the correct decision, because I do want to go for Janice early, which is 125. And I mean, I'll get some Soul Urta and frags from doing High Mountain. I'm about to do some bosses, and I think if I wanted to do some bosses and focus on them and make it quite a bit easier for me, I probably would have just unlocked Song of Heaven Hexa first, and maybe Trifling Winds Hexa next, and then Soul Janice. Soul Janice is definitely going to help a ton with training though. We just have to get the Urta in order to unlock it. So, I don't know, I feel like I made the right decision, but it feels bad in the moment. It's kind of one of those weird things. Either way, I unlocked my 6th job, unlocked my origin skill, so this just does a ton of damage, looks really cool, and now I think I have enough damage to go and do slime. I looked at like one video. I don't know how this is going to go. Hopefully it goes okay, because I don't want to do it multiple times. So we're going to go try it out, and hopefully we'll be able to upgrade our gear, because we can't one-shot right now, which is our biggest problem. Once we can one-shot, that'll make training so much better. Alright, so we're jumping in to slime. Overall, this boss fight wasn't as difficult as I anticipated. It's kind of one of those things where it seems super scary or hard, or like you might not get it until eventually you just try it out yourself, and it's actually just not as bad as you imagine. I feel like that's kind of every new boss in this game, maybe every new boss in every game, because once you try it, it really is, like I said, just not that bad. So I went in here with some expectations about potentially not being able to kill the boss because you don't know, what you don't know. And it wasn't that bad at all. I clearly had way more damage than I needed. I went in with around 11 million CP. I feel like I could have min cleared this with, maybe 6 to 8 million CP. And it honestly probably wouldn't have even been that bad then. It seems like it's pretty hard to die at this boss, which is nice. So you kind of just get to experience the mechanics and, understand and learn how to do that. So that's actually really nice. It's definitely not how I'd want every boss, but for like one of the earlier big bosses, at least for me, it's really nice because it's kind of a good introduction. And it does drop a really good item potentially, which is the slime ring. So that's cool as well. Once you figure out the puzzle, I still don't know how to do the golden part. Shout out to Wrath GMS. Honestly, that dude makes like the most well-refined guides for bosses and stuff in general on YouTube. So if you are struggling with a boss, I'd recommend checking him out. I use him, or I've been using him for this boss, and just to make sure that nothing too crazy has changed on low main whenever I was on them as well. So I'd recommend checking out his channel. It's pretty good, and I couldn't say enough good things about his guides. So I honestly thought that was great. But overall, boss fight, not too tough. If you're scared of it, I would recommend jumping in there. And if you can get into the Chaos version, apparently you need way more damage, but I would recommend that just because it has such a higher chance of dropping the ring. So, yep, that was the boss, and that's about it. Totally gonna get a ring, right? Almost. Where's the ring? Where is it? Where'd it go? No ring. I didn't even wear the greed pendant. Come on, man. You guys gotta remind me. Well, we didn't get the ring. Oh well, but we did get something really good. Almost just as important considering we're pretty broke. There we go. Just doubled our money. 200 mil slime. Not too bad. Can't complain. Cannot complain. Alright, so that's gonna be it here. I'm going to have to save my money. I was about to spend it. I was thinking about spending it, but I'm not going to. I want to make sure that I can save for the double miracle time. I want to save for it so that I can do it on my accessories. I want to make sure that all my accessories get to legendary. That's what's really going to carry a lot of this account, because all this gear, all the accessories I have right now, this accessory, the Dominator, the Deacidus, the Silver Blossom Ring, all these cannot be hit to legendary. Condensed Power Crystal cannot be hit to legendary because these are the flaming boss items. So unfortunately, we're going to have to replace them, and we're going to have to get our own and level them up and put them to legendary, so that we can get some either damage or drop gear, depending on whichever we need. And we're going to have to save up for DMT. Luckily, we don't really need Shining Star Force. It is coming up in a couple weeks, so we're not going to have enough money for Shining Star Force anyways. But we are going to have a need for a lot more money for whenever these accessories need to go up. Who knows, though? Maybe we'll have enough money if I do enough grinding, or maybe I could make a boss mule. But before we go and make a boss mule, a quick pit stop by Arcia just to update you guys on the item burning and the challenger situation. So this character does have the burning gear still, so I did go through and take down Chaos Papulatus as well as Lotus. Honestly, neither of the bosses were very difficult at all. This character does a ton of damage. With the burning gear, it's actually the strongest character I have in Heroic right now. It's able to pretty easily take down these bosses. The comboing is really fun. The character looks really good. I just still have a problem with the movement and the clunkiness of the class overall. It's really unfortunate because I like playing it. I really like it. But especially on Lotus, it's super noticeable. You actually can't teleport up and down from the floor to the platform. It's just a little bit too far away. So that fight is really noticeable how clunky and kind of just unplanned this class feels. So I like the class. I'm going to continue playing it even after I get it to 260. I'll probably use it as a boss mule and stuff like that. It's just really unfortunate that it is so clunky, but it's okay because it's still super strong, which kind of does make up for it. Now that we're up to date on Arcia's progress, back on my Wind Archer, I did actually get through High Mountain. It took forever because for anyone that, of course, has ever gotten to 260 and done High Mountain, it's just not a lot of damage. So you're not dealing a lot of damage and it takes a while. I think it took a little over an hour for me to do this. It's just really slow in the beginning, but it's totally worth it. If you've never done High Mountain, it rewards you Soul Urta as well as a ton of fragments. And on top of that, it's like 10% of a level, so you definitely should do it. It's going to take forever the first time at least, unless you have a bunch of gear and I've never done it, or maybe you're just a funded character, whatever. Hopefully you get through it a little bit faster than me because I still am unfamiliar with it a little bit. The first time I did it, it did take me around 2 or 3 hours on my Mochuan, so this is a lot better than that. And honestly, it only gets better after your first one. Just the first one is pretty rough. So I am just so glad that I was able to get through this. So finally moving on to our new boss mule. So if I, could go back in time, I would have made my Sia on the Challenger World because that's instantly a really good boss mule. Like I just said, I could do up to Lotus and Damien pretty easily with practically no effort on this character. That being said, I am glad that I am making use of the double dailies on that character still, and it's, gotten to like 245 plus just by logging in and doing the dailies with Monster Park and stuff, so still taking advantage of that, and it's awesome doing that, but it would have made extra miso on this class or on this extra server so much easier. Instead, I ended up making a Thunderbreaker with one of the hyper, or not the hyper, just the regular level 200 burning on the Challenger World, and the leveling was totally fine. I went through the quest like normal, and then I went through some bosses, and the whole reason I made this was for the extra miso. For anyone that isn't super familiar, you do get the ability to sell 180 boss crystals every single week on one of the worlds, so I honestly made this character just for daily bossing. It doesn't sound like a ton of money, but in the beginning you don't have any money, so my character was, kind of making some money here or there, but I don't play a ton, so I would log on, maybe I would do High Mountain for an hour, so that means I'm not making any money that day outside of daily bosses. So I would try to do daily bosses on my main character, daily bosses on this character, and honestly I also just kind of wanted to try out Thunderbreaker. I had never tried it and I thought the aesthetic looked really cool. I'm happy to confirm that the aesthetic is really cool. The class is really fun to play. If anyone is ever concerned about Thunderbreaker being a combo class, I promise you it's not. It really is just a 2, maybe 3 button spam class. So you might still hit your wrist, but like in a totally different non-combo related way. So if you are worried about that, then I would still recommend the class. It looks awesome. And unfortunately, I don't do a ton of damage. I haven't been able to feed the character pretty much anything. I'm still trying to give everything I possibly can to the Wind Archer. That being said, though, this class does come with a free set of CRA gear, so I was able to easily do all of the daily bosses, and I funded it with around like only 50 nodes or something like that, which is definitely not enough. This is not a node hungry class, but it definitely could use some help. So that's what I ended up doing with this boss mule. I don't think I'll take it to CRA right away. Maybe sometime in the future, whenever I have extra memento coins, I can give it some extra love and extra levels and stuff like that. But as it is now, this character is really just there so that I can get some extra boss crystal money The amount of money you make from daily bosses is right around 80 mil. So that's just a free 80 mil that I can make in like 10-15 minutes, which really isn't as much as I can make currently on this character. Maybe once I level up even more and get into the more endgame areas where I can make more money per hour, maybe I'll get Miso drop gear. Once all that happens, then this character might become obsolete. But as it is now, for the first week that we're in Challenger World, this character is actually pretty valuable. So up until this point, everything had been going great. You know, we're making progress. I was able to fairly easily take down Slime. You know, whenever I went back to Lotus and Damien, it came back to me. You know, since I had done it in the past, it wasn't too bad. I even took a few swipes at Lucid, Easy Lucid. I had never done that boss before, and honestly, she wasn't too bad once I ended up learning her. I don't think I actually even recorded the kill, but I think it took 3 tries and I got it, no big deal. And then I moved on to the actual first speed bump. So this roadblock, I kind of expected it to be a roadblock, but I'm talking about Easy William. So shout out to all my Will haters, because I'm not quite on the bandwagon, but I can see where you guys are coming from. So I had been stuck on Will for quite some time. Like I mentioned, I don't play this game a ton. So each time I go for a 20 or 30 minute kill, that's a significant amount of my game time for the day or for the week. So this was taking quite a while. I had to figure out phase 1, which eventually I kind of got down, going in between each of the rooms, not too bad. I knew I was likely gonna have enough damage, but it was really just figuring out the mechanics. I had seen people enter the room and do the boss fight, but unless someone's explaining it to you, I didn't really understand what I had to do. So shout out to Wrath again. I did watch his guide and it did help a little bit, but I still watched a few other videos just to make sure I was getting the understanding of the boss fight and stuff like that. So eventually I kind of got through phase 1 a little more reliably, because I feel like I needed to save most of my lives and everything for phase 3. Once I got over phase 1, honestly, I hate phase 2. So phase 2, I did have to go through and unlock a second familiar slot. I just went and did the Edelstein ones so that I could get the extra familiar slot, so I could get double healing fams. I do have a 2-line healing fam, but it's small healing, and then the other one I think it's just normal, so it's not a ton of healing. I don't have any large healing or anything like that. So it's not the easiest, because in phase 2 you cannot heal yourself unless you use the special Moonlight skill, which I'm not super familiar with. I actually don't think I even used the Moonlight skill in phase 2 a single time, because I totally forgot that's how you heal. I was just hoping that I could get through it with my healing fams and with my Wind Archer barrier. So that's definitely, the barrier carried me super hard in this fight while I was learning. On top of all of that, the phase 2 just dealt so much damage. It honestly kicked my butt. So I eventually figured out phase 2, and where I was stumped, the roadblock that was keeping me from killing this boss was phase 3. I do not know what I was doing in phase 3. This was so tough for me figuring this out. I ended up dying, I think, 3, 4, or maybe even 5 times, or at least that's how many goes it took. Sometimes I would quit out at, you know, phase 1 because I died a few times and I wouldn't have enough lives for the rest of the fight, or similarly in phase 2 I would get down to like 3 lives, knowing that's not enough for phase 3, because I had gotten to phase 3 a few times and would just die out. I didn't time out, so like I said, I knew I had the damage. It's just getting through all of the mechanics was way more intensive than any other boss fight. I know some people that say that they think Will is like one of, if not the hardest fights for them in the game, and I could totally see where they're coming from. So I took as many tries as I could, but I couldn't get it down, and I was running out of resources. So I was running out of buffs, I was running out of miso and stuff like that. Like I said, this is early on. I don't have a lot of money even just for SayRAMs and stuff like that. Well, eventually I resorted to practice mode, unfortunately. And practice mode is totally great. The kill still counts, but we don't get the boss crystals or the rewards. So I was trying to steer clear of that for as long as I could, because making progress is good and great, and we are going to get challenger points for this, but I really needed the miso like I just mentioned. Alright guys, here we go. I have been at Will for some time, not super long, but I don't actually play that much, so each try I do is around 20 minutes, and we're getting good time on the boss. Usually, honestly, damage is not a problem in this boss at all. But I've been struggling in phase 3 of the boss with all the spider webs. I'm honestly just not super used to it. I'm not super used to using Will, yeah, this skill right here. I'm not super used to using Cygnus Knight's Will or Will of Erda, so honestly I'm just having some trouble in phase 3. So it still counts if you do it in practice mode, except you don't get the crystal obviously, so you don't get as much miso. But I really just want to get it over with so that I can have the extra Soul Erda and rewards, so that I can try and do it next week on reset, or maybe even clear it right after with the extra damage. I don't know, we're going to give it a go with all these extra free buffs that you get in practice mode though. So hopefully this helps. Oh my god, I did it. That took way too many tries. Alright, man, I am so glad we got that. We got Will down on practice. It only took 2 tries on practice. We got all of our rewards already. We unlocked the Hexa Trifling Wind. So excited about that. And yeah, honestly, just super glad that that is over with. Put on the Hexa. There we go, Trifling Hexa. So I'm so glad we finished that out. Not just because I wanted the Hexa. I mean, that's nice and all, but honestly, it was just taking a lot of time. I'm kind of like a dad gamer. I don't have a lot of time these days, so being able to do it means I can now spend the rest of my time grinding, which, I mean, I'm almost 261 already. So we can go back to Royal Library where we were grinding to begin with. I do wish I had Soul Janus. That would be really nice, but getting all the extra damage is going to help killing more bosses later. So I just really wanted to get that out of the way. Now we can actually use some of our XP coupons instead of just letting them sit there. I pretty much spent most of my night last night and most of my morning this morning trying to get this boss down. I really wanted the miso going into next week. That would have been nice to have, you know, 2 fat crystals waiting between this one and Lucid, but it's okay. We'll get it next week. I'm not too worried about it. Reset is today, so we can start stacking up some more money after that. That's going to be it, though. That was so exciting that I was able to get it at all. Considering I'd never done that boss ever, like just literally never seen that boss before. Like on my screen, at least. I've seen it. I watched a video that wasn't just completely made up, but just going from not killing it to killing it is honestly a big achievement for me, so I'm glad, and hopefully that'll make it easier going forward now that I know what to expect. So I know that since this is a longer video, I'll keep the outro short and sweet. Thanks for watching, thanks for coming along on my Will journey, and let me know what you guys think about that boss. So hopefully you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one.